talking about President Donald Trump's comments yesterday at a ridiculous rant in Ohio. He said that Biden was going to hurt God. Have a listen to this audio again as we play it for you. It really is amazing to me. Have a listen to this.
He's following the radical left agenda. Take away your guns, destroy your Second Amendment, no religion, no anything, hurt the Bible, hurt God. He's against God, he's against guns.
All right, so completely, utterly ridiculous. Joe Biden responded by saying, for President Trump to attack my faith is shameful. It's beneath the office he holds, and it's beneath the dignity the American people so rightly expect and deserve from their leaders. Just so you guys are aware, Biden has long spoken publicly about the role his faith has played in his life, particularly during moments of tragedy. Biden lost his first wife and daughter in a car accident, and his son Beau to cancer. The former vice president regularly wears his late son's rosary on his wrist. He's publicly spoken about the role his faith has played in carrying him through grief. So it's absolutely insanely ridiculous. But what do you think out there? Am I wrong? Number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number if you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396. Let's start off with Jim. Jim, you're first up here on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, Brian, it only makes sense to mix politics and religion because in my mind, those are the two most hypocritical things there are. You know, you've got, and I'm a Trump supporter, and I'm not excluding him from what I'm saying is, I don't know a lot about Judaism or Muslims, but I do enough about Christians to know that whatever the Judaism and Muslim equivalent of the Ten Commandments are, every politician breaks them every day, regardless of their religion. You know, they lie, they cheat.
Well, isn't that more reason, though? Isn't that more reason for Donald Trump not to bring up what he brought up?
It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's just pandering. It's pandering, just like, you know, they pander to race, they pander to religion,
right.
They pander to money, they pander to everything. And, you know, you got to think about it. Nancy Pelosi, and I'm not just because I'm a Trump supporter, but she's probably the most well-known Catholic that I know of that's a Democrat, and I was raised Catholic, and she supports abortion. Now, I'm a person that I don't feel like anybody needs to make a choice for anyone in that regard. It's not something that I hope.
Well, she's not trying to make a choice for anyone. She's just saying
she supports it.
But she's not.
It's okay.
Yeah, but hold on a second. This is an important distinction, Jim, and I want to mention this because I do think it's important. Nancy Pelosi and Democrats in general are not trying to say you have to have an abortion. They're giving you a choice. They're giving you a choice. Right. It is many people on the right that do not want to give you a choice. That want to tell a teenage girl that maybe makes a mistake in her life, you have to have that child. So I would say to the contrary, Jim, are many people on the right that are not giving you a choice. I will defend Nancy Pelosi when it comes to that subject. 702-257-5396, number to call. Let's go to Gladys. Gladys is next on the Vegas Take. What's going on? Did we lose Gladys? We lost Gladys. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Chris. Chris is next. Chris, what's up? 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Marge. Marge is next on the Vegas Take. Marge, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
What's up, Marge?
I don't know. It sounds like your phones are having maybe a Friday.
Maybe we need to reset the phone lines. I don't know.
They left early for this weekend already.
Maybe, I don't know. What's up, Marge? What do you think about this?
I was flabbergasted. First of all, okay, so you're talking about guns and you're bringing religion and God into that discussion.
Yeah.
It's just maybe somebody needs a cognitive test at this point doing something like that. And is Joe Biden that powerful that he's going to hurt God? I mean, think about that.
It's absurd. I mean, I'm just trying to understand from Donald Trump's perspective. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to divide. He's trying to get his supporters. You know, he's trying to pander the votes. I get what he's doing. It's just wrong and it's stupid and he's lying.
And he's trying to grasp at straws to paint Joe totally as a leftist. You know, that's how the country's going to go, totally left, okay?
Yeah.
But in the process of what he said, basically, if he wants votes, I think he turned off a lot of Catholics because that's what Joe's faith is. He turned off a lot of Christians.
Yeah.
You're of the Jewish faith, and I'm sure that a lot of people in the Jewish faith were turned off by this.
Absolutely.
And your first caller was absolutely right. You don't mix politics and religion. That's
you shouldn't.
No,
but you shouldn't. You shouldn't do that. But talk to a lot of people on the right, all the religious people on the right that want to talk about abortion and they want to talk about gun rights and this and that. It's absurd to me, Marge. It just doesn't make any sense, and I think it's disgusting. Another disgusting thing that Donald Trump has done. I appreciate the phone call, Marge. Good to hear from you. Thank you. Of course, we're talking about the comments that Donald Trump made yesterday in saying that Joe Biden will hurt God. That's what he said, folks. You can't make this up. And by the way, to the contrary, for those of you out there that thinks it's anti-God to want to save lives, because in aspect, isn't that what Joe Biden and many Democrats are talking about? They don't want these mass shootings to continue. They don't want the carnage. They want to put in some proper gun legislation. They don't want to take all your guns away. It's a lie that you hear from Republicans. Democrats do not want to take all your guns away. In fact, there's not one prominent Democrat that says that. Here's what they want to do. They want red flag laws. They want to make sure guns get in the hands of safe people. And they want to make sure that nobody in the general public, unless you're in law enforcement, should use a weapon of war like the types of weapons that Paddock used that killed 59 people in Las Vegas. That doesn't mean Joe Biden is anti-God. That doesn't mean Joe Biden is anti-religious. That doesn't mean Joe Biden wants to hurt God. It is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard, and trust me, I talk about it all the time. Donald Trump says a lot of ridiculous things. Number to call is 702-257-5396. Let's go to Gary. Gary is next on the Vegas Take. What's up, Gary?
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to let you know I am a Trump supporter. I believe that you said you're a Republican, and I
no, I'm not.
Understand.
I'm not I've never said ever in my life that I'm a Republican. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm an independent.
Okay, I must have misunderstood.
That's okay.
That. But I just wanted to let you know Trump says a lot of things off the cuff, which he a lot of times probably shouldn't say. But you have to look at what he's done for the economy.
That's not an excuse. I hear you, but that's not an excuse. Just because some of the and by the way, we just had our worst quarter in the history of the country. So you could take the economy, and I'd say to you, not doing too well right now. But with that being said, I understand where you're going with this, Gary, and I have a lot of discussions with people about this. When you defend the Confederate flag, when you attack women on looks, when you attack John McCain and say you don't respect him because he was captured, when you go after illegal immigrants, and now you go after Joe Biden and say he's anti-God, anti-religion, it's not an excuse by saying, well, I don't like the things he says, but look at what he's done for black unemployment. And look at it. I'm sorry, I just don't think that's a valid argument, Gary. I'm just being honest with you. That's my opinion.
I agree with you on a lot of that, but look what Biden is doing. He's hiding in the basement.
He's not hiding in the basement. He did a couple.
When he comes out, he does not have. He's not fluent.
So let me ask you a question, Gary. With this coming out of the basement stuff, I agree that Joe Biden should be out there more. I agree that he should be doing more press conferences. But let me ask you a question. Were you saying Donald Trump was in the basement when he refused to go to John Lewis's funeral, refused to go of any of those memorials for John Lewis? Did you say Donald Trump should come out of the basement?
Donald Trump should have showed a lot more respect for Mr. Lewis. Yes, he should have probably attended the funeral.
Okay, so we agree then. So we agree. Listen,
if I was an advisor, that's what I would have advised him to do.
John, so hear me out, Gary. We agree to a certain extent. I do think that Joe Biden should be out there more. I agree with you. But I think there's a fine line between not doing enough press when you're running for president and then not going to John Lewis's funeral. Do you see the distinction? One thing is a strategic thing that I don't agree with when it comes to a campaign. Another thing just proves that he's an awful human being.
Well, we agree on a lot and we disagree on a lot. But
do you disagree with that?
Well, what you said, I agree with. Okay. He's been a womanizer in the past, but here's a little point. I actually drive in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And 3 years ago, I started taking an unofficial count of people, talking to people in the cab, not asking, are you voting Democrat or Republican? This is a bad statistic for Mr. Biden. This is in Las Vegas now. It's a very small, but right now, and I'm very serious, Trump is Biden's leading Trump by about the same thing as Hillary was the last election.
Okay, but Biden is winning in every poll across the country.
Can I finish?
I'm letting you speak. I'm just saying you give a poll in Las Vegas, but look at what's going on throughout the entire country. He's winning in every poll across the country.
I don't believe that.
What do you mean you don't believe it? What does that mean? What do you mean? So these are lies then? All these polls?
Let me finish my point, and then you can continue.
Well, but hold on a second. I'm keeping you on the line. I'm not hanging up on you, Gary. What do you mean you don't believe? 99% of the polls throughout the country have Donald Trump losing between 6 and 10 points. So when you say you don't believe, are all these polls wrong and Gary's right?
All those points are identical to what they were when he was running against Hillary.
Not true. Not true.
They're
Biden is
the same.
not true.
Okay.
That's not true. That's not factually accurate. Several months before the election, it's not about disagreeing. It's a fact. Hillary was leading, but not at the same pace that Joe Biden is leading now. And by the way, right before the election in November, those polls tightened up really quickly. What you're saying is just not factually accurate. I don't mind if we disagree on opinions, but that's not true. Biden is further ahead, and the methods for conducting these polls have also changed.
Okay, we agree to disagree on that point.
I don't know why you keep. Okay, go ahead.
Point, can I finish my statement that I still haven't been able to say?
Gary, we have a lot of other people on hold. I've given you a lot of time, but go ahead.
Please. You've done a lot of talking. I'd like to say one thing.
All right, that's it. I've had enough of him. I do a talk show, you idiot. It's my job to talk. This isn't the Gary show. I was going to let you talk, but you make a stupid comment like that. Good grief. Yeah, let's just let Gary talk. It's not, I don't have a microphone in front of me. It's not my show today. Let's let Gary talk. Holy smokes. I don't believe in the polls. I don't believe in it. Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree. Oh, my goodness. Trump supporter, ladies and gentlemen. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Joel. Joel, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on? Uh-oh. Let's go to John. John is next on the Vegas Take. What's up, John?
Hey, Brian. I mean, look, man. Trump is a desperate human being. His financial information is about to be disclosed. I really believe that he either becomes he stays president or he goes to jail. I really think it's that dramatic of a binary route for him.
Mm-hmm.
But look, he's a well-documented liar. He's a desperate man. He'll do and say anything to get reelected. He has no character. And I would say this to Gary, what I say is true. How I just described Donald Trump is true. Really, nobody's going to disagree with that. That he's a liar and he's a fraud and he'll do anything to get reelected. And I would call him a scumbag. And this is going to make a lot of your listeners mad.
I don't care.
At some point, when you continue to support this scumbag, you become a scumbag. Are you listening, Gary? I would call you a scumbag to your face.
Well, hold on. I hear you, John. John, hang on a second. So here's what I would say to what you're talking about. I believe people out there that are enablers to the president, that refuse to admit that he is a horrible human being, refuse to admit the horrible things that he's said and done in his life, are scumbags. I will say that I have friends of mine, people that I know, that support the president even though they hate him as a human being. They are voting for him because they'll have more money in their pocket because they're afraid, and they're right about this, that Joe Biden will tax the crap out of them. I don't think those people are scumbags, but I agree with you on this notion. Any of the people out there that are not willing to admit that Donald Trump is just a really bad dude who does and says a lot of bad things in his life, I agree with you there. Does that make sense?
The sheer volume of lies and fraud and deceit and womanizing and sexual. So I mean, come on.
Well, sure,
man.
He's a horrible guy. Yeah.
You're either dumb, to believe that it's not true, or you know it's true and you just don't care. And I would argue that's 90% of Republicans, and I would call them scumbags. Sorry,
all right.
That's just the way I feel.
John, you have a right to your opinion, my friend. To an extent, I agree with you, but I am not going to sit here and say every single person that is a Trump supporter is a scumbag. I'll certainly say Donald Trump is a scumbag. 702-257-5396. We're talking about the comments that Donald Trump made about Joe Biden yesterday, saying that he's going to hurt God, saying that Joe Biden is not religious, that he has no religion, when this is a man who lost two of his kids and his wife, first in a car accident years ago, and then he just lost his son Bo several years ago, and he wears a rosary on his wrist. And you're gonna attack the man on religion, attack him on policy. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck is next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, Brian, one thing that my wife made a good point the other day about polls. She asked me, have you ever been polled? I said, no. And I asked her, no, you haven't. Brian, have you ever been polled?
I have.
You have?
Not in the last year, but I have in the past.
But
yes.
you see what I'm saying is,
Yep.
I think polls are a lot like research. The poll can turn out however whoever's paying for the research. You know what I mean? You could find ways to make arsenic, be beneficial in some way if you wanted to.
No, Chuck, listen, Chuck, make no mistake about it. Polls are not always going to be 100% accurate. And yes, Hillary Clinton was winning in most of the polls until right before the election. It was very, very tight.
But I'm just curious, who was being polled and how many? If you go to, let's say you go to Fox News and you take a poll, that's why I always laugh about it, is they'll put up a poll and they'll show numbers. I'm like, well, who watches Fox News? Not Democrats and liberals. Right, Republicans.
So let me ask you, Chuck. So, Chuck, you're bringing up my point. Then, in the latest Fox News poll, Joe Biden is up. I think it was either 6.5 or 7 points on Trump. I mean, that should speak something, right? That's got to mean something.
It has to mean something, but it's again, it's really the only thing that matters is once all the votes are counted. And I think my only concern with the mail-in balloting is if you look at the way the unemployment here in Nevada has been handled, that's what worries me about it, is there's a lot more voters than unemployed people.
Right.
And I'm afraid that they're going to botch it in that way, not necessarily because they're trying to cheat or anything else like that, but just because they're not equipped for it. And it doesn't necessarily mean one side or the other is going to benefit, but I just think that
understood. I hear what you're saying.
It's something that you just don't do overnight. And then what I agree with is they should send out something saying, if you want a ballot, return this, and then once they get the whatever it is that they send out from that person, and they say, okay, now let's send this person a ballot, because a lot of people, this is a transient place.
Right.
They're going to be sending ballots out to people that have moved 3 times.
Chuck, you make a lot of valid points. Don't get me wrong. You make a lot of valid points. Never have I ever said that any of these polls are 100% accurate. They're not. Let's just call it for what it is. They're not. But it should never be okay for the president of the United States to call someone else who he's running up against to say that he wants to hurt God or he's going to hurt God and he has no religion. Can we all at least agree on that? 257-5396. Let's go to Bruce. Bruce is next on the Vegas Take.
Yeah, I listened. I just happened to turn on your channel, listen to you, and you're the type of person that keeps all this hate and contempt, racism, and stuff going.
What have I said that's racist? What did I say that
you don't?
Bruce,
report the news like it is.
Bruce, let's have a conversation. First of all, it's not my job to report the news. I'm not a journalist. Let's make a distinction. I am a radio talk show host who has opinions. So I think you first need to learn the definition of what my job description is and what I do. That's number one. Number two, what have I said in the last 30 minutes since you turned into the channel, which is you call it, it's not the TV, but thank you for tuning into our channel, by the way. Bruce, what have I said that you specifically disagree with?
Well, most of the Democrats speak hate and discontent.
I didn't ask you what the. Excuse me, Bruce. Bruce. I don't speak for Democrats because I'm not a Democrat. So I will ask you now for a second time. What have I said in this show since you turned in, quote unquote, the channel? What have I said specifically that you disagree with, so we can have a conversation?
Well, you think everybody's a scumbag.
No, I don't think everybody's a scumbag. I think, excuse me, pot him down again. Bruce, I never said everybody is a scumbag. I said Donald Trump is a scumbag. So you're wrong again. Would you like to go 3 times the charm? What have I said specifically that you disagree with? If you don't think Donald Trump is a scumbag, I could list you 100 things he's done in his life that would prove that he is a scumbag. Would you like to hear some of those, Bruce? Or can we move on to something else?
Same with Joe Biden.
Excuse me?
You can do the same with Joe Biden. You can do the same thing with
Really?
Obama.
So Joe Biden has been accused of
a scumbag.
Really? Okay. So let's go with that, Bruce. Let's go with that for a second. Has Joe Biden had 3 different wives and kids with 3 different wives? Does Joe Biden have an ex-wife that accused him of rape? Has Joe Biden ever gone after a POW and said he didn't respect him because he was captured? Did anybody ever hand anything to Joe Biden? See, then he hangs up the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, Bruce is a coward. That is the definition of a coward. When he calls up to a radio show, by the way, he doesn't even know what a talk show host job description is. Because yeah, he is a putz. Thank you, Wayne Allen Kook. He doesn't even know what my job description is. What do you think? You think I'm a news anchor? You think I go on the air every day and report the news? I talk about the news. That's what talk show hosts do, you dope. And by the way, it's not a channel that you turned into. It's a radio station, you idiot. You don't even know how to talk. And if you have a problem with something I say on the air, if you have an issue, fine, I'll talk to you about it. But when you say, Brian, you did this and you're this and you're that, and I say, can you please give me one example of something that I said? And then his response is, well, the Democrats do blah, 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 blah. I didn't ask you about the Democrats, you dope. I asked you about me. I tell you, some of you people are just so stupid, it's just unbelievable. I can't even have a conversation with you. I tried. What do you want me to do, man? I tried. I try to have a conversation with people like that. I really do. But it's very difficult to do that. It's extremely difficult to do that. Do we have enough time for one more caller? All right. Well, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take more of your phone calls at 7. I hope it's better than the last one, by the way. We're talking about Joe Biden, of course, and Donald Trump saying that he doesn't have a religion. We're talking about him saying that he's going to hurt God. And then coming back, I also want to talk a little bit about this because this really pisses me off. There was this evangelical gathering in Las Vegas this week. And in this evangelical gathering, a couple hundred people, by the way, not practicing social distancing, not wearing masks. And the organization is defending it. And then we wonder why people contract the coronavirus. Then we wonder why people are getting sick. Then we wonder why the numbers are up throughout the country because of idiots that do with this evangelical. And by the way, I don't care if it was an evangelical gathering or if it was a Joe Biden gathering or if it was a Black Lives Matter protest indoors. I would be criticizing it the same because this should not be about politics.